This is a diagram about the circle of fifth. Now I'd like you to put your focus on the C here, okay? And you notice how there's a major keys and then minor keys inside the diagram. But for now on, we're going to focus on the C. On this diagram, the C means there's no sharps, no flat. It also means when you're in the key of C, there's no sharps and no flat. Now notice how you move to the clockwise, you move to the G. When you have the key of G, you have one sharp. You see the sharp here? And that's your key F sharp here. Okay? How they correlate in this diagram here. And you notice how you go from C to G, they are a fifth apart. And that's why this is called a circle of fifth. Whenever you are fifth apart, you start adding sharps. Now, G to D, when you have a D major scale, it has two sharps. You notice that two sharps here? And that's your F sharp plus your C sharp. So you start having two sharps. And notice the location from G to D is about 5 steps. G, A, B, C, D. Now if you start with D again and go up another 5 steps, then you have the key of A. And notice how A has 3 sharps here. F, C, and G. Now you not only have F sharp, you start having C sharp and G sharp. So there are 3 sharps for the key of A. Now you're starting to notice a trend here. Every time you go up 5 steps, you're adding a sharps to it. And the interesting about your sharps is also a 5 apart, a fifth apart. See, from F sharp to C sharp, that's a fifth apart. And then C sharp to G sharp, that's also a fifth apart. And this keep going up and adding up. Do you notice it now? Okay. And that's why this is called the circle of fifth. Remember the song that we just worked on, the impromptu of A flat major. If you're looking at flat, all the key signature with flat, you have to go the other way. Okay? Instead of going clockwise, you go the other way. Okay? And you notice how from C to F, you're also going down a fifth. Going from C to G, C, D, E, F, G is a fifth apart. Now if you go backward from C to F, from C to B and then C, B, A, G, F, that's also a fifth apart. And some people like to call this a fourth, circle of fourth. That's if you count up. From C to F, C, D, E, F is a fourth apart. Either way is fine. But when you start going anti-clockwise on this diagram here, you start getting to have keys that with flats. For instance, F major has 1 flat, and that's your B flat. And then when you go down, or go up, from F, you go down another 5 steps. Now, when some people ask me, from F to B, if I'm going backward, F, E, D, C, B. Why is that a B flat and not a B? Well, the reason is, with the key of F major, you already have a B flat. So you need to take that into consideration and not call that a B. You should call that a B flat. With B flat major, you notice you have 2 flat. And that's your B flat and E flat. If you keep moving backward from B flat, go down another 5 steps, you go to E flat. And that's the E flat major. And that was the first piece that I showed you that has 3 flat. And that's B flat, E flat, and A flat. Okay? I encourage you to really spend some time to go through this diagram. It's going to help you a lot in the future, not just on music theory, but on understanding how things are worked together. In our definitive piano improvisation course, we talk a little bit about different chord progression. And the circle of fifth is very important if you want to create your own chord progression. very often people can improvise just based on the different chord and their relationship with the circle of fifth. Okay, now we have talked about all the major scale. If you keep going down and you notice that where you have D flat major, you're going to have 5 flat. And all the 5 flats are B flat, E flat, F flat, D flat, and G flat. If you have a piece that has 5 flat, that's a little bit challenging to play. But it's still possible to play it if you understand all the techniques. Now with all the key that has sharps, you go up to 6 sharp. Okay? That's the key of F sharp major. You have 6 sharps. Alright, now let's take a look at the inner circle. This is your inner circle. Now we know there are 12 major keys. The 12 major key, by the way, when you have D flat major, if you move up to the next one, it should be the G flat major. G flat major and F sharp major, they're kind of the same thing. But you notice, instead of having F sharp major, if you go with G flat major, you're going to have 6 flat. That would be your B flat, E flat, F flat, D flat, G flat, and a C flat. G flat major is also the F sharp major. They're the same thing. But sometimes we call it the enharmonic scale. If you look at the piano, G flat and F sharp, they are the same thing, but we call it differently. Now that you look into the inner circle, we're going to talk about the minor keys. All the minor keys, they share the same characteristic of the major keys. The only thing is, the first note, you start with a different note. In the key of C, it has no sharps, no flat, and so is the A minor. A minor has no sharps, no flat. But when you play the scale, you start with the A instead of the C. Okay? And that's their relationship. They are similar in terms of the key signatures, in terms of the sharps and flat, and yet they start on different keys. If you want to understand thoroughly what is the difference between minor keys and relative major keys, I get into details with the definitive piano improvisation course. But now we're just going to focus on your sight reading ability. Now when you sometimes have a song with the F sharp, sometimes you think it's a G major, but it starts with the E chord, E minor chord. Then you know this is the song that is a E minor key instead of a G major. And that's why sometimes you need to think about it. How come it doesn't start with the G major, even though this has only 1 sharp? And then you can ask yourself, could it be the relative minor? If it is, then it will start with the E minor chord.